Today's podcast is brought to you by Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. Accidents happen. Without the right coverage from the right insurance company, damage to your automobile can be a real financial hit. That's why Kentuckians appreciate the competitive rates and personal service they get from Kentucky Farm Bureau Insurance. When the unexpected happens, count on us to help you get back on the road. To request a free quote, find your local KFB insurance agent at mykfbagent.com. Kentucky Farm Bureau, big on commitment. Hey, Matt, how's it going?
It's going well. I'm pretty excited. I only got probably another year of this, but it's getting close to that time of year where I eat my children's Halloween candy.
I just want you to know that you said I only have about another year of this, and I was like, homie, we just rebranded. You can't go anywhere.
No.
You got years of this. What you're hearing.
But the thing I was talking about
is candy.
Because my kid's getting a little too big to be going around and asking for things in a mask.
It gets weird.
He's a big boy now.
People are going to start thinking he's going to egg them instead of kindly ask for candy. When they hit that age, there's a transition.
What kind of thing are you going to do to my home or you just want a Reese cup? So yeah, he brings home candy. He loves the idea of bringing home candy, but he's not really a candy eater.
That sounds like the perfect child.
So there's all kinds of...
So you get the candy.
I get the candy. But then my wife, who's very in shape, has to tell me, you cannot have the candy. So what I do is I bring it to the office. Because I'm going to let everyone, wink, wink, else have the candy, right?
What a guy.
And I put it in the community jar.
Do you, or do you put it in your desk drawer?
No, it's in the community jar. I just happen to eat whenever I want. So yeah, it's that time of year when I steal my children's candy.
So I am blessed because Fran is upstairs, and Fran has a little horde of children, and they do multiple because they're big zoo people. If you're close to Louisville, this is like a thing. I didn't grow up close to a zoo. Our zoo was 2 hours away. Yeah. So if you're close to a zoo, it's boo at the zoo, you dress up, and you can trick or treat like 45 million times if you want, or you can do it like every Saturday leading up. I mean, I think it starts literally like the first weekend of October. It's crazy. And so she has a plethora of candy, and is that mean old mom that takes that candy and brings it to work. Yeah, and that is absolutely so she can get rid of it. So I get a load of candy, and then we make fun of all of the weird candy they get. So here's my question for the day.
All right.
Best and worst thing you can get while you're trick-or-treating.
Okay. What's really weird about my answer is that in some universe, this is almost the same thing. Okay?
Interesting.
All right. I don't know if you've gotten these candies, but they're unbranded, orange and black wrapped.
Oh yeah.
Candies.
They're terrible.
They're terrible, but all they are is peanut butter and chocolate in different ways. I don't know what's missing here. Do I need branding? I don't know what I need, but I don't like these. But
I feel like it has like a texture thing. Like it almost has like a gummy taste.
Yeah, it's chewy. It's a little too chewy for my liking. But my favorite candy is a Reese cup. Right?
So if you brand it and make it a little bit easier to eat, we're good with the same ingredients.
I need some logos and it needs to melt in my mouth, I guess, a little more than chew it. But yeah, those things are like, you can see them going in your bag, and you just kind of look up at the person when you're a kid, and you're like, what on earth?
Why?
So that's probably like the candy I always hated getting. I did once get it. Somebody was trying to be really nice and give everybody an apple.
You've gotten an apple?
Oh, yeah.
I see it on movies, and I've never in my life been given an apple.
Come on, lady. Nobody wants an apple. Like, apples are great. Love all the apple farmers out there. I'm really sorry. But we're not going trick-or-treat to get an apple.
To be clear, you could trick-or-treat on a Friday. You could trick-or-treat before dark and go home and drink apple cider, go to the apple farm the very next day. Totally different vibe.
All about it.
It's just right place, right time, and trick-or-treating is the wrong time for an apple.
I want something that my mom's going to not let me eat later.
100%.
Yeah.
So my least favorite is same. Man, we sound like bougie, like we have to have our labeled candy. They're like a jawbreaker almost, and they're unlabeled. It's just a clear little package, and it's very much, I mean, my parents used to get them, just a giant bag of 150 pieces of candy for $1 at the Dollar Tree.
Yeah.
And it was those jawbreaker things. I just thought they were pointless. They ended up getting thrown away. None of us wanted to eat them. Someone would dare someone to do it. Your mom would get mad and say, don't crack your tooth and don't try to chew. It's just the same.
Did, and every time, unbelievably hard.
Yeah, she turns around, you wink at your sibling, you're like, bet you I can break it in half. And then you hurt. It's the whole thing. They were pointless. I also I never got an apple, but I used to get popcorn balls. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like
yeah.
No. I want my popcorn warm and fresh.
That's not what you're there for. You're not. There's nothing wrong with those items. They're probably lovely. I love a good apple. I'm an apple a day, keep the doctor away kind of guy.
There you go.
I do it every day, but I'm not. I don't know.
My favorite though is, did you ever find the house with the full-size candy bar?
Full-size candy bar person.
Don't even care what it was. You could give me a Payday, Reese's, Snickers, Milky Way. I don't care what it was. You could give me a full pack of Skittles. If it's a full-size candy, favorite house on the block.
These people are amazing. That's expensive.
They also must be rich.
They must be loaded to give every kid a full-size candy bar.
Did we secretly trick-or-treat in the rich neighborhood? I don't know, but the full-size candy bar, dealer's choice. You give me a full-size candy bar, I'm in.
They were as good as the guy who just put a giant bowl on his front porch. And if you just happened to be one of the early kids, it was on. You're taking half of it. But if later on you walk up and there's just this jar, there's this big bowl sitting there with nothing in it, it doesn't work out for you then.
Yeah, that's less exciting.
That's less exciting. But yeah, full-size candy, that's a good answer. That was a game changer.
So here's a rural urban thing.
Okay, here we go.
Okay, I grew up. This is going to sound so sad. So when I moved to Memphis, I was outside of Memphis, Germantown, and I was selling seed. I was like, I live in an apartment complex. There's kids. Maybe they will trick or treat. No one trick or treats in an apartment complex.
Yeah.
They go to a neighborhood. I didn't know this because in my entire life, we had to drive to a neighborhood to trick or treat. Yeah. I have never once given out candy at my home anywhere I've ever lived.
Right.
So did you always was it were you in a neighborhood growing up and someone stayed and gave it out?
I've always been in a neighborhood, and with my kids, both the neighborhoods that they've lived in are like the neighborhoods that people do that. So like in the Bullitt County and surrounding areas. One particular, our first neighborhood was just forget driving for the night. It was
really?
There were kids everywhere. You were worried about hitting somebody. There were people everywhere. Cars parked on the street.
So, do you and Casey take turns and somebody stays back and gives out candy?
When they were little, I would actually be the one to go out with the kids. So we'd go walk in and do the thing. And when they're real little, it's like they're all about it. They're excited. It's going to be the best thing ever. And you're like 12 houses in, they're like, okay. And then you just go home, And the other thing, Casey always makes chili. Made a big pot of chili for everybody. We had some friends over because our neighborhood was so awesome. People would come to our neighborhood.
This is the wildest thing.
Yeah, it was. We were the neighborhood that I guess
so
you all came to.
So never in your life have you dressed up and had to get in a vehicle and drive to go trick or treat?
I just walk out my front door, go left or right, and it's
unreal.
On. Yeah, it's great. Yeah, and then but the thing that's funny now is our neighborhood. We live on an estate drive of two neighborhoods, right? And both of them are absolutely bonkers. The amount of people in these two neighborhoods. But when you look down our street each way, it looks like there's nothing to go to. There's nothing to, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So we get a big old bowl of candy and nobody comes to our house. And every once in a while, a little kid will like, hey, here you go. And I give them because I'm just going to eat all this if I don't hear it.
Yeah, can't keep it, yeah.
And I just give it all to them. But yeah, we've kind of lost that a little bit. But yeah, you go into some of these neighborhoods in the Mount Washington area, it is fully nuts.
So we had to plan. Well, we trick-or-treated at the office, so at the Research Center in Princeton, which is the funniest thing. And Miss June, anyone that remembers Princeton, and this is terrible. I don't even know Miss June's last name. She was just Miss June my entire life. Uh-huh. Anyway, she would dress up in a costume, and she worked in one of the plant labs, and she would pop out and be all exciting. We were all we always went to her office last, the lab last, because it was always spookied out. And but we trick-or-treated to all the offices. Everybody had a little bowl of candy for us, and all the other kids that were kids of people that worked there. And then we did that early, and we loaded in the van, and we had to go to the neighborhood that we were going to, a church friend, and we had to get there early enough to park, like you said, so you wouldn't be in amongst all those kids. And then we always had to stay a little past dark so everybody kind of got off the street so we could back up and go home. Uh-huh. So I look back now, I'm like, golly, my mom really had to plan versus your mom that was just all right, just be home before everybody shows up and then walk outside.
Yeah, just before it's too dark out there, come on back. Yeah.
Wild.
We used to kill it when we were kids. We'd get pill sacks pillowcases and fill them up and come back and again and then not
eat an apple, right?
Yeah, definitely. We're like, where's the apple at? Get those Reese cups out of the way. Where's that apple? But yeah, no, but I love Halloween. It's a little tough as you get older and your kids don't do it anymore. Really, I mean, my son goes out, runs around with his buddies, but they're not really, not doing the same old stuff, and you don't go. And then no one comes to our house, so it's really depressing. No, but it's such a great event. It's a great day, and it's really fun. And we still have chili, so that's good. I do still get my bowl of chili every year. So.
Well, okay, we're gonna transition this. Do you know who loves Halloween the most? Children.
Children.
Do you know what children need to know about? Agriculture.
Where their food comes from.
Absolutely. And our guest today.
Where's that apple come from? Right.
Needs to know.
Yeah.
She helped teach these kids about this about a month ago, and we are going to talk to her all about it.
Yeah. Known Tammy for quite a while, and she's a big part of Farm Bureau, but she's a big part of her community in her local area. Very active, awesome lady, and so I think folks will, if you have never met Tammy, you're gonna like her a whole lot by the end of this podcast. So I hope everybody enjoys.
All right, without further ado, I'm Renee Carrico.
And I'm Matt Hilton.
Let's get rural. So, Tammy, where are you calling from?
Well, I am currently sitting in my car in the school parking lot.
So I get a text this morning, Renee, that someone could not come all the way to Louisville for the podcast and other things. Actually, she was part of an advisory meeting. So what happened? Tell us what happened there, Tammy. It was
just a pretty interesting morning. The oldest was heading to 4-H camp today for a teen leadership event. So I was supposed to get her to the extension office at a certain time and get to school. And there were a couple of kids that were just in the middle of a crisis. And, as the school counselor, my heart just wouldn't let myself leave. I needed to leave right then. And I thought I had to just make a game decision. Like, there's couple of teachers out and subs were coming in, and I thought I can't leave my leadership team kind of in the balance. So I just said, you know what, yep. I'm just going to call and see if I can do this over the phone. I had to stick around for the kids. There are a couple just needing some extra attention this morning. So
yeah, I understand. It's totally okay. We are very cool. Austin, our tech guy, got all this figured out.
Thanks, Austin. You're awesome.
Austin got it figured out. So, but yeah, so for folks that don't know about the White family of Union County and that area, tell us about this gang that you joined years ago and what they do and all that.
All right. Well, yeah, it's definitely kind of like a gang. Yeah. So. There's like secret initiations and stuff I can't tell you about. No, I'm just teasing. I am so blessed to have gotten an opportunity to, join this family. It's not even like the farm, just the whole family in general. Dustin gets, he farms full time with his brother and their dad. And then their dad has 3 brothers. So it's the 4 of that generation. And then Dustin has 2 cousins also that farm with them. So there's 8 total family members, but then there's at least that many other guys that have been with the farm for a varying number of years, since Dustin was a little guy. So there might as well be family as well. So it's a large family. They get along most of the time, and they have their differences like every other family does, but they have managed to make it work for all these years. And Dustin's the 4th generation, and then our kids would be the 5th, and it's a really great family to be a part of and to get to do this with. So it's pretty neat.
So, and I apologize. I hope I didn't not hear it. What all are you guys growing? What are we doing on the farm?
Yeah. So on the farm, we grow corn and soybeans, wheat, hay, some straw, of course, and then we have cattle, several mamas and babies. We don't feed them out; we sell them when they get up to a certain weight. We sell them, but yeah, that's keeps us pretty busy.
Mm-hmm. So something going on literally year round.
Yeah, all the time.
Literally year round. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So
and of course we're all raising kids too. So that just adds a whole other crop of things to deal with.
So we've been out, a handful of times for Outstanding Young Farm Family to the White's farms.
Yeah.
I remember going my first time. It was a long time ago, and we're sitting there trying to do this interview, and this little girl's being terrible. It's one of the daughters, and she just really wants her mom and dad. And this was early on, and then years later, I started doing another a story for our series Voices on this young lady who was a part of the White family. She was an FFA officer and kind of a big deal. So I went all the way out to her farm, and we're been there many times, and we're standing in a spot, and I realized, you're that little girl that was losing her mind all those years ago. And I told her that whole story. She kind of just looked at me and goes, yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah,
but so yeah,
it's probably true.
We've been out there a lot of different times. It's a beautiful area. So yeah, you guys are a big part of that community and part of Farm Bureau and part of agriculture for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And that we've just lost Mamaw, Mrs. Merle White. She passed this last late winter, early spring, and so that's been kind of a transition too for the family to start navigating life without their matriarch. So it's been different, but it's been good. It's been good. They've all worked together to get through that, but it's tough when you lose someone she was involved till, to the very end, involved with the farm and helping make decisions, and so proud of her boys. She couldn't say that enough, that she just, proud of what her boys did. And then of course their offspring from there, all of everyone that's doing all the different things. So yeah.
Yeah, she gave me a good, she's one of those, she measured you pretty good, made sure that you're all right. I remember when I came, she
100%.
She was feeling me out, this video guy, what is this guy doing?
But, yeah,
she was a lot of fun, and yeah, she's in charge. So I'm sure she's
for
very
sure.
missed.
And
yeah.
You knew where you stood with her from the beginning. There was no doubt. Yeah.
Okay, so Tammy, we always talk about the White side of the family, but I think a lot of what this podcast is going to be about today is some of the things that you do personally yourself and getting kind of to combine those things. So let's start off. How did you grow up? Did you grow up around a lot of agriculture, or is this something that you had to learn into? Kind of talk to us about that.
Okay, so yeah, I grew up in eastern Davis County in Maceo, to be exact. My family did not all farm per se, but we did have a very rural upbringing. I always had some kind of critter, horses. My grandparents often had goats. So we always had big gardens, and my family before had raised hogs and chickens and tobacco, but that was not what my mom and dad and we did. But we did grow up rural, and my mom taught me to can and do all of that, all of that homesteading kind of stuff. And then went to college, got a degree actually in psychology, not even in education, which is kind of funny, but then decided I love working with students with special needs. So I went back to school, got a master's degree in special education, and did that for several years in Union County at the middle school and at the high school. And while doing that, then got another master's degree in school counseling, and have been doing that here at Providence at Webster County for the last 17 years. So this is my 23rd total year in education. And yeah, so as far as the farming side of it, though, we on a lot of the times on Sundays, we go and we mineral the cows. Of course, that's usually the only day of the week that Dustin, we can do that with the family because they're really busy all the other days. So we take Sundays and take the kids and then we mineral the cows. And then, of course, through Farm Bureau, Dustin introduced me to that right off the bat. That was like, I feel one of our first events as like a couple was the annual meeting in Union County. We went to went to that.
That's a nice date. Nice date.
Right. It's like, well, I mean, you got to kill two birds with one stone, right?
Yeah.
So, I guess just in case it didn't work out, he could have just left me at the picnic, and but yeah. So, with young farmers, we were so blessed to get to be a part of that. And we have met some of our closest friends that we will have for a lifetime. I mean, we've met some of the best people through that program. And it really sparked my interest in the need to combine agriculture with elementary education and with mental health, because it all ties together so nicely. And with my role at school as the counselor, I get to see every student in my school every week. And so I get to tie in whatever is relevant to that moment with the kids. So if it's all in for Ag Week, then we are all in that week for Ag, and we do that in class and with lessons. But if I see that the students are struggling with friendships, well, then we can do a lesson on friendships, and we sometimes tie in agriculture concepts with things like that as well, and nutrition and just good mental health, and it's all so tied together. And it really all, to me, I was able to bring in some hands-on activities through Farm Bureau and through the teacher workshops. And I've got to bring that back to school, and hopefully I'm planting some seeds with this younger crop of kids to see the importance of where their food comes from and learning about those things. And maybe even some of them will want to be farmers and ranchers and, or even do something in the ag industry when they grow up. Even, I push a lot. And I know that there was a time where school counselors pushed a lot of, going to college, doing, getting a degree. But we're seeing, I think, the need now for the trades. And a lot of the students that I see and that I work with, I talk a lot about, they like to work with their hands. Well, let's talk about, welding, and let's talk about plumbing and electrical things. And, you can still do like computer work and still be an electrician, because everything is going to be computerized. And, if you want to be a mechanic, well, a lot of that's computerized. So I like to push the trades even at a young age now, because the kids, they like to be busy. They like to use their hands to do things. And so college is great, and it definitely is a needed thing for some students. But those trade careers are so important to us as a society right now, because I think we're really lacking in those areas, especially here in like rural Kentucky. There's just not enough of those people to go around.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I think it's so neat talking that language at a younger age. And a lot of times when you talk ag education, it's like, know where your food comes from, thank a farmer. But I think that career conversation at a younger age is somebody said it not that long ago to me, where some parents were ready to make our kid an Olympian before we're ready to talk to him about job opportunities. And that's kind of wild to think about. We'll take kids to Florida to play at a ball tournament when they're 10, but we don't ever want to make them feel pressured to think about something outside of college. It's an interesting thought of why don't we start bringing some of this stuff up? That's not pressure. Maybe it's just thinking about it and talking about it. And the longer they have, maybe the more hands-on experience they can get to find out what they like or don't like, kind of like like we do in sports, kind of like we do in school classes. So I really love talking about, saying I'm being a mechanic or wanting to weld doesn't mean that you're sending the kid to trade school at the age of 8. It means you're just getting them to start thinking about it.
Right. Yeah. They have to even learn that those opportunities are out there, and that, if they even just start hearing those words and hearing that language at a young age, well, they're like, oh, well, in elementary school, we did talk about plumbers and electricians and welders and other tradesmen, that those are valuable careers. But they also require an education. You have to be able to do math and to be able to read and to be able to communicate with the public. And it's, they're definitely not lesser in any way. Like they are as important as any other careers that students could decide to go into right now. And so, it's not like, you're exactly right, Renee. It's not about the pressure, but it's just about introducing them to the possibilities of what are all out there. Of course, everyone says, I'm going to be a vet, I'm going to be a doctor, but everyone can't do those jobs. And so you have to let students know that there is a really, like, the careers that are going to be out there when these elementary students graduate from high school some of them haven't even been created yet. So just, you have to open their minds to the possibilities of what could be, and they may be the ones that develop what career they want to have when they grow up. So, there's really no limit to what their possibilities are if they just will take the time to think about it.
So I recently traveled to your world. We shot a little bit of video that'll come out soon about All In for Ag Week. What did you guys do? What was some of the stuff that happened at your event and really throughout the week for y'all?
Well, it was such an amazing day, and I, like I said, I try to incorporate that throughout the year. So that week, because it was All In for Ag Week, I thought I'm in a unique position that I get to see all of the kids, and I do have like a leadership role within my school, and our administrative team is second to none. I will say they are amazing. And so our principal, Miss Rachel, she kind of just said, you know what? I think it sounds great. Run with it. Let's see what we can do. And so we just did a whole day outside. I called it Ag Field Day, similar to an old school field day, events all day outside. And we had businesses and farmers and the extension office, the high school FFA come out, and they all set up a station, and we did rotations throughout the day and sack lunches and just made a whole entire day of it. And it was amazing. The kids, of course, they always say this, but it makes my heart happy to hear them say it was the best day ever, because, to them, you hope that something stuck and they made a core memory, and, they will just, to me, activities like that are about what's going on and about the learning opportunity, but it's also about doing something in a school and learning environment that's enjoyable so that they continue to enjoy coming and they want to come and learn some more, even if it's about something else. But it's just about doing enjoyable things in a learning environment and liking being there.
Yeah.
Because that's sometimes a big hurdle.
I think a lot of folks believe most people in rural communities understand agriculture, even if they live in a rural community. In your perspective, in your perspective, just using your school for an example, how many of those kids were really exposed to those kind of things before these events?
Very few. I mean, our school total with preschool, we have about 300, give or take some, and I would say there is just a handful, maybe 20 total that would have any kind of agricultural background. And I mean, even down to like knowing that, you don't, that what a soybean plant looks like. Most people know corn. It's pretty it's pretty widely known, but the majority of them do not know the difference between sweet corn and field corn. And, and so I would say there might be 20 kids at this whole school, less than 10% that would have any kind of agricultural background at all.
Wow.
So, yeah, and we are in rural Kentucky, farms all around us, but just the majority of them are not exposed to that. So we had a cow here, and to see the kids close up, they're like, I've never touched a cow. I've never been up close to a cow. It's just interesting to hear them talk about being close to those things. And sometimes I take that for granted because it's like, oh, well, it's a bottle calf. We've got one in the backyard. But to a kid that's never been around that, like it's like huge. It's a big deal. So.
Yeah, for sure. I, coming from a very rural area, growing up not that far down the road from where you're at, and then now living in a rural area, very similar size. It's amazing to me. And we did those, we called them Food for America. And we did the third grade every year, got to go to this. And we kind of set up almost a petting zoo. We was on a farm, and then we'd go to the grocery and we'd explain what we saw there and where it was in the store. And I just remember as an FFA member doing that. I remember being a third grader and being like, well, yeah, what's the big deal? And then I remembered being an FFA member teaching that and being amazed at how many less of those kids knew just from when I was in third grade to when I was a freshman teaching those same sections. And so I just remember being like, wow, how many of my friends were like me and were like, yeah, we've seen cows before. And then now I've only got 2 kids in this whole group that raised their hand that had seen a pig, so it was it was very eye-opening. But I think I agree with Matt. I think something about rural areas, because you drive by it, people assume that it's been explained. And the worst thing we can do on the education side, and I think most teachers would agree, is assume anyone knows anything in particular just based off an assumption. So talk through, for those that are in rural areas, we've talked to people before that have been, I'm going to say, subsets of some bigger areas. So maybe a Bourbon County outside of a Lexington, or a Oldham County outside of a Louisville. Maybe sometimes if there's a teacher listening, that's pretty easy for them to say, oh, yeah, like it makes sense to pull it off. You've got a school system that maybe understands or has a population and a tax base to handle it.
Right.
For a small community like yours, or like the one I live in now, or where I grew up, what would be your advice, or maybe just the route you went to be able to do something like this and kind of help other people understand the importance and the need?
Right. Okay. So I basically just started first off with the local farm bureau, because that, for me, even as just a Farm Bureau member, knowing that they have that education side, the Women's Committee, or the Webster County Women, they came out and they did a station. And so I started there, and with my extension office, because we have a really great relationship with the folks at the extension office. And so I just started there, and I thought, you know what? Well, that's 2. Who else can I get? And so we also have a 4th grade ag days. And so I knew that the soil conservation, they have a water erosion set up, and that they would find that very interesting. So they were able to come. The Energy Cooperative, I contacted through Kenergy, but it was not them that came. And I feel terrible. I can't remember exactly who it was, but they came and set up, and they fried a little hot dog on the line. So it's really just about making that was really funny, but it's about making the connections. So just use any connections that you have. You'd be surprised that when you say, hey, you have a large garden, could you come out and just show my kids different vegetables? Because you might assume that just because they've been to a grocery store, they know the difference between a bell pepper and a jalapeno pepper, but they don't. So, yeah, I mean, just even the basic lesson like that. And we did short, just 20-minute rotations, because some kids have the attention span of gnats. Bless them. I love them, but they just do.
Yeah.
And they're little, too, so they can get the excuse to have that short of an attention span. But you got to just short snippets for a day like that. It's not a real in-depth lesson. Agrigold came and they did the life cycle of a corn plant. So that was really neat to see, the kids got to learn like, well, this is a seed. This is what it looks like when it first sprouts. This is what it's like when it's a little bigger, all the way to like, this is an ear of corn. And they got to touch it and see how tall it is. And the gentleman that did that presentation for us, he, I don't know if I'm supposed to drop names or not, but anyway, so he was like so nervous. He's like, how do I talk to a 5-year-old about corn? Well, his sister teaches at our school, and she explained to him, Josh, like, you deal with my kids all the time. They're 5 and 6. Like, you can do this. And he's like, oh, I never thought about that. Yeah. So some people you ask may be nervous, but I mean, that most people can handle just a short time period with a small group, and just ask, because if you don't ask, you don't know. And most people, if they have the time, will be willing to give it to their local schools to do that.
Just ask might be the perfect advice for a lot of community activities, but especially these All In for Ag Days. I've talked to so many people after this fall's week of events, which is kind of, I feel like a lot of people got to be involved. We cranked it out in the spring through, KDA did, and Commissioner Shell and Bethany Mattingly, and they do a wonderful job. But there were some people that were like, I'm just not ready. Like, I need a minute. I need to plan just a little longer. Right. And there were some awesome events this fall that happened. And I asked a lot of them, I've asked them the same question I'm asking you. And they said, just ask. And you would be shocked.
Just ask.
Even the people you think that are booked, they're so busy, they won't have time. It's a tough time of year. They were like, they want to send someone or something. You'll be so surprised. You never just get a no. You get a no, but, or a no, how about this? And they were like, sometimes that secondary piece is something I'd have never thought of, and it was so impactful for the kids. So I love that you gave that advice. And just listing off the different entities that did impact those kids, I think would shock a lot of people, even at our very farm. Who would have thought electric co-op? Who would have thought, it's hard to remind yourself if you're not in this realm of teaching, who do you call and what do these kids know or not know? So I think that was the perfect set of answers.
Yes. Well, and we also, like my former principal, she and her family, they own cattle. And so her husband and his son, their son they're the one that brought the cow. So that was a cool connection to have, the family or someone related to the school come. And then a former student of mine in Union County, she and her husband, they homestead. And so she brought her children who were homeschooled, but they got to lead a group on like a petting zoo type thing. So they had chickens and rabbits and goats, and they explained to the kids and milked the goat in front of the kids, these students that are homeschooled. So you may even contact like a homeschool co-op, because a homeschool co-op may have some kids that are doing some things around the house that they could come and they can also benefit from teaching your students about it at the public school. So that's just an idea. The 2 little girls that were here just loved it. So
you said earlier that these kids say this was my favorite day.
Yes.
Is there other things you're seeing? Are you seeing the effects? So, days later, are kids still talking about it? Are they seem just a little more knowledgeable, even just a little more? Like, what are some things that you're noticing that did it work? Do you think you had a big effective impact here?
I think that the kid that it did have a really big impact on the kids. They keep referring back to, and then of course the next week this week when I had them in class, I played the video of Commissioner Shell reading Rowdy Ringo this time's All In for Ag, the book for the week. And so they were like, that's the guy that was at our school. And I'm like, yes, he was at our school. And they're like, man, he's, and so they were just really excited to make that connection, that it's a real person and he's famous. He's on the TV. But they are making the connections with like the seeds and, the high school FFA chapters, they put together seed packs for all of our teachers so that they could then continue with those lessons in the classroom. That's one thing that I've seen is all of the partners that we asked to participate, they all not on top of just coming to do it. They also then put together like packets of things to give to the teachers to use as resources in their classrooms for like a later time. So people may not be willing to like come and present, but they may have the resources to give you things to use in your classroom to present. So if that makes sense, like to use to educate, like seeds or posters, diagrams. There's all kinds of resources that you can use. And of course, then the Department of Ag's website, they have every resource you can ever imagine for every subject area to tie it to agriculture, which is just the coolest thing.
Well, speaking of the Department of Ag, talk to us about, from an education perspective, you're a part of a pretty cool, I guess, charter education group. So talk through, because I think that connects directly with that website. Talk through what that is and kind of who's coordinating and that kind of thing. Yeah.
So this, I guess we started this summer, this August, was the Agricultural Champion Educators Group. And Bethany Mattingly, who works at the Department of Ag, she does the education and outreach side. And they have put together a group of 12 educators from across the state, all at lower middle school and elementary levels, even preschool, to just kind of charter these lessons that they've put together and see how they work, and to then even maybe be like the brains behind some new lessons and some ideas that can be rolled out to use at the state level. But yeah, it's a phenomenal group of women. We met during the State Fair week. We met for the first time, did some farm tours around the Louisville area, and then went to the State Fair. And I mean, it's just a great group with some really great ideas of ways to incorporate agriculture into the general studies, all the way down to preschool, and some really cute ways to incorporate some center learning with tied around agriculture. But I'm excited to see where it takes us. It's a 2-year program that we get to do that, and hoping to make an impact some way for my kids, but also with that as a state, on the state level, to see how we can help get some more lessons out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I told Bethany I was like, I have this idea, like with the Raising Hope, and how that's a really big push right now, the Raising Hope through the Department of Ag with mental health and farmers. I really would like to develop some lessons that can be used from that angle. With my counseling background and ag background, I would like to mesh those two together to have some lessons that teachers can use in their own classrooms around social emotional learning. So, yeah, that's incredible. That's my goal. That's in my brain. So hopefully that can come to fruition at some point.
You bet.
Well, if there is a commissioner or a staff that can help support that, I think we've got one right now. So they are engaged in both of those topics and engaged with the teachers, engaged with our rural community. So I think it's pretty easy to tell, and by your enthusiasm and your passion, and then also theirs, kind of where we're at on this. So very exciting. What we will do, Tammy, just to help you, I'm not going to ask you for that URL because that would not be very fair to you, because I don't know it off the top of my head either, and I have shared it with many people. But we will stick that in the show notes where those resources are for teachers.
Oh,
and
yeah.
That Perfect. Same website will normally be where they will post as we get closer to maybe a spring or another fall all in for ag kind of event and week. And if you follow the Department of Agriculture, we'll put those kinds of things in the show notes so you can see when those announcements come out. If you hear this podcast and you're thinking, this is the thing I want to do.
Yeah, well, and they, I know that they utilize Facebook a lot, and there's the Department of Ag Education and Outreach Facebook page that all of the lessons have been posted to that, on top of being in their website, in their resource handbook. So I think Bethany has done an amazing job with getting those resources out there. So they're definitely there to be used. I know teachers are busy, because I hear that a lot from like my coworkers, my friends that I teach with. And so I know that finding the time to actually dive into those things is probably the biggest hang up for educators right now, because everyone feels so pressured, like test scores, we have to meet this, we have to meet that. But I think if we really get down to like how are we going to get kids to make the real world connections and tie those into math and reading and science and social studies, that if we can use a topic that is already interesting to kids and then teach math with it, I think you might see that their engagement goes up a little bit. And so I think that's what we really need to like focus and push on, is that it's not, these aren't like doing more or extra, that it's just another tool to use to teach the same concepts and the same, the same standards. It's just in a different way. It's like a different lens. It's just seeing it in a different way. So it's just another option.
Yeah.
Not more. Because I know for teachers, it's like, oh, it's more. It's just more. But it's not. It's really just another way. It gives you a choice to teach the same concepts, the same standards, but using like some principles of agriculture to make it maybe interesting and relatable to the kids.
Absolutely. And I think the perfect voice to understand both sides of that is engaging with teachers. And so I think the route that we're going to try to do that is a really neat one. And I applaud the department for that. And for you guys, you teachers, you guys are busy too, whether you're a teacher or a counselor or whatever it may be. So taking the time to be that resource is also tough. So, I hate to cut this off because, Tammy, you and I could talk forever. But
Forever.
I want to thank you, though, for everything you do in the school system. I think everyone can agree you're in the right place and made the right decision this morning for those kids. And I just think you didn't mention it, but I'll say it. Tammy serves on our state board of directors and does a lot of service for her district and the state as a whole. So Dustin's on resolutions. I mean, this family is all things Farm Bureau. And so we cannot thank you guys enough for all you do. And I just appreciate so much you spending a little time in your car today to talk to us.
Well, it's actually been a nice little respite. I've just had a little time off to sit and not chase anybody or do anything crazy. It's been very calm. It's been nice.
Very good.
Nice middle of my day activity. Yeah.
We appreciate it. Thank you for being on today.
Absolutely. I'm glad to do it.
All right. Well, thank you, Tammy. And thank you, listeners. We will see you next time on Let's Get Rural.